After a bye in Week 1, the Charlotte Independents finally get to kick off their 2019 USL Championship campaign and kick off the Jim McGinnis era in what should be a windy fixture here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Chick-fil-A. I'm Tyler Terrens, and sitting right next to me is the ex-German pro Devin Kerr, and we cannot be more thrilled that you've decided to take time out of your Friday night to enjoy the beautiful game with us, as Martin Rennie and the Indy 11 are looking to bounce back after a tough loss against St. Louis FC here in Matthews. And Devin, Charlotte retooled. They have a new coach, Mike Jeffries, stepping into the general manager position. They bring back the likes of Enzo Martinez, who had a terrific 2016 and 17. They also bring in a man by the name of Dominic Oduro, who is a proven scorer at the Major League Soccer level. And when he gets in the area, Dev, he can punish the opposition.
The acquisitions that the Charlotte Independents made in the offseason are definitely headlined by the likes of Dominic Oduro. The guy can stretch the defense in any way, shape, and form. He's in great shape, even though he loves pizza. But the biggest thing for Dom Oduro is the pieces that the Independents have been able to put around him. It's going to allow him to explore the final third, which is what the Jacks have been lacking the past season. 33-year-old from Ghana has made stops at Toronto FC, Montreal Impact, as well as the Columbus Crew. A bit of a journeyman in his career, but looking to make a home here at Charlotte. Speaking of home, Enzo Martinez returning to his home, about 20 minutes away from Rock Hill, South Carolina, where he grew up. But Enzo, and I asked you this question, Devin, right before the broadcast, is he one of the best 10s the USL has seen in the past 3 years? 100% is. Could be one, could be two. Sebastian Velasquez might have something to say about that, but regardless, Enzo Martinez is now back with the Independents. He's back home. Such a storied career in the Rock Hill area, and he's looking to push that a step further. They want to push together a memorable season. He was not happy with what he saw in 2018. The experiment did not go so well for Colorado Rapids. In steps the Charlotte Independents. He's back with his brother. They're back for vengeance. The Jacks are ready to go. Two-time MVP finalist, two-time first-team All-USL selection, returns to his home, returns to his brother, as Jim McGinnis and the Charlotte Independents looking to start 2019 off with a win. Indy 11 looking to avoid 2 negative results to start 2019. It's all coming your way next.
My card.
Misplace your debit card? Turn it off with your app.
Excuse me, my card,
This one's gotta be yours, right?
Yes.
And turn it on when you find it.
These are the hands of Novant Health. The hands saving lives. Taking control when it matters most. These are the hands advancing care. They're skillful, precise, and compassionate.
It's gonna be okay from here.
They're the hands giving you strength. Those same hands delivering specialized care also take the time to hold yours. And they'll be waving goodbye as you walk out of our doors and back to your life. These are the hands of Novant Health, the hands making healthcare remarkable.
Thanks. It's like a smart thing. What's the weather?
Sunny. Perfect chicken eating weather.
How'd you get in here?
It's time for chicken.
What's the traffic like?
Rerouting you to chicken.
Okay.
Hey, Calzo, order pizza.
Ordering chicken.
No, pizza.
Chicken.
Okay, chicken it is.
Chick-fil-A nuggets make dinner delightful.
Now that's smart.
Tyler Terrens, and sitting right next to me is the ex-German pro Devin Kerr, and we cannot be more thrilled that you've decided to take time out of your Friday night to enjoy the beautiful game with us, as Martin Rennie and the Indy 11 are looking to bounce back after a tough loss against St. Louis FC here in Matthews. And Devin, Charlotte retooled. They have a new coach, Mike Jeffries, stepping into the general manager position. They bring back the likes of Enzo Martinez, who had a terrific 2016 and 17. They also almost set for kickoff here at the Sportsplex at Matthews, as the Charlotte Independents and Indy 11 trying to duke it out for 3 points, as season opener for Jim McGinnis and the Charlotte Independents, and the second game of the season for Indy 11, who, as we mentioned before, a loss against St. Louis FC and Anthony Pulis, who have moved over to the Eastern Conference. And we'll take a look at the starting 11 for Jim McGinnis and the Charlotte Independent side that missed out on the playoffs in 2018. Devin, what are we looking at?
Jim McGinnis talks about what they've been able to do on the defensive side of the ball. And let's take a look at that. The outside backs in the likes of Andrew Gutmann and Joel Johnson. That's going to be absolutely amazing going forward. They get a lot more repetitiveness on the outside. They didn't have that last year. When you start to move up the pitch, you'll get Alex Martinez. We talked about Enzo Martinez. But what are they going to do when they get into the final third? That's what was really lacking last year. I'll tell you who's not missing in the final third is Indy 11. Indy 11 went out in the offseason, did a great job with Martin Rennie and their acquisitions. Dane Kelly, all-time USL leading goal scorer. Tomasini Voltson, like him. Ilya Ilic, who did not have the best of outings. You see him move out, but Dane Kelly has to step up. We really saw him slow up in the beginning of the first half versus St. Louis. Different player in the second half, although the steam was really taken out of him when he missed that PK.
As you can see, a sparkling resume for Dane Kelly, who was actually denied from the penalty spot by Jake Fenlison of St. Louis FC, which was a nominee for Save of the Week in the USL Championship Week #1, as we're officially underway for the first time at the Sportsplex at Matthews for the Charlotte Independents in the USL Championship season of 2019. Again, Tyler Terrence along with the former German pro Devin Kerr. Charlotte in their all blues, Indy 11 in their white and navy blues. Big 3 points up for grabs here in the Eastern Conference, and of course the Jim McGinnis era is officially underway as well. And in our talks with both Jim McGinnis and Enzo Martinez, who was kind enough to take some time out of his day a few days ago to speak with us, Charlotte moving away from that 4-2-3-1 that Mike Jeffries was so fond of, as Indy 11 with early delivery. Like it was Kevon George who got ahead to it, and Joel Johnson, the Spaniard, trying to get around the outside. Alex Martinez putting a foot on it, bothered by Eugene Starikov. Starikov on the turn, and linking up with Thomas Voltson, who, Devin, you said grew into the game well against St. Louis, but we weren't exactly getting a look at the dynamic goal scorer and assist playmaker that we were used to seeing in 2018 with Orange County.
No reason for them to hit the panic button at all, though. You could see the rust of what system they're trying to play. Remember, Martin Rennie came in very late last year in camp. I believe it was mid to end of February, so he was playing the hand that he was dealt. He had a lot of guys that he didn't necessarily go out and handpick, and that's nothing against those guys and a decent amount of talent, but there's a big difference between what he had last year and what he had this year, especially in the offensive third. Indy Voltson, Ilic, and Kelly are the names who tend to jump off the page and just, they really weren't clicking whatsoever. We referenced Charlotte in the final third. That was almost non-existent for Indy 11, at least in the first half, and they did grow into the game. Ilic never really took off, though, and he's going to take a seat tonight, but the benefactor should be Starikov. How well was he playing in the second half? You and I talked about that off air, did a good job stepping in, really make the most of his opportunity. It was only 10 or 15 minutes, but he made an impact.
Got a good look at Martin Rennie there as it comes to the near side with Andrew Gutmann finding Enzo Martinez. Gutmann a standout at Indiana University from 2015 to 2018. A lot of speculation as to whether or not he was going to stay all 4 years at Indiana. Mac Herman Award winner. Signed that 3-year contract with Celtic. They immediately loaned him to Nashville. The move was denied by MLS because the Chicago Fire had the rights to Andrew Gutmann, who turned down a homegrown contract, as Enzo Martinez sees his cross picked off, and Indy 11 looking to go quickly the other way.
Imagine how that would have worked out. Darnell King on the right, Andrew Gutmann on the left.
Lights out.
Whew. They're another team, though, Nashville, similar to Indy 11, where black and white, it looks really, really nice.
It looks like a super team on paper, but, you know, it's one of those situations where you say, is there enough ball for everybody?
Even Martin Rennie admitted that. He said, listen, we've gone out, we've put together what looks like might be the best team in the USL. He actually said he thinks they are the best. But can we now pay our dividends? Can we pay it forward and make what happened, the dream, the reality, if you will, excuse me, there.
Let's play from Tyler Gibson. Long-range effort, never going to trouble Brandon Miller, and it's the dreaded shot that goes out for a throw-in. Devin, I'm sure you took part in a couple of those in your career.
Never, never.
As a center back?
Pinpoint accuracy.
Somehow I highly doubt that, because I've seen your mini golf game. Patty Barrett sees his pass picked off in the middle of the field. Enzo Martinez now He is just calm, cool, and collected on the ball. He does so many good things going forward. And, you know, we actually had a brief conversation with Mike Jeffries, and Enzo Martinez is probably one of the more fiery personalities you'll see on the field. And he said to us a number of times when he crosses the line, you know, everything just sort of channels out, and he just is an ultra competitor as Gutman is trying to get forward. And Charlotte Independence will have their first corner of 2019. But Enzo, off of the field, is just one of the more fantastic people you can have the pleasure of meeting.
To be fair, that's coming from two people. So once we get a better survey, then I'll let you know. It's a good look at Jake Garman trying to get in behind. Gutman playing that high line that he loved to do at Indiana so much. But, you know, you hear it a lot in professional football, the NFL I'm referencing, where these guys have to turn it off. They got to go out and be beasts and then be gentle teddy bears on the sideline. Apparently that's what Enzo's like.
Chick-fil-A corner kick. It just came off of Kevon George, and it'll be a goal kick for Evan Newton in Indy 11.
You're getting a good look at what we're going to see out of Enzo Martinez in the opening 5 minutes, what Jim McGinnis is looking to do. And he said, you know, stylistically, I'm not that different from Mike Jeffries in the sense of Enzo's role isn't really going to change that much. We're going to allow him to explore the middle of the field, be his own man in the final third. That's what they need out of him. You can't keep a caged animal like that. You have to let him go and do his own thing. We've seen that so far. How about nice in the final third, also dropping back 10, 15 yards, spraying the ball all over the pitch.
Charlotte fans wanting a foul as Enzo Martinez was just drilled from behind, but Indy 11 will play out the other side. Neville Hackshaw, who's responsible for the lone goal for Indy 11 last week against St. Louis FC. And it was just funny to see a center back with all of the weapons that Martin Reddy brought in to have Neville Hackshaw get the first goal of the season. And Jim McGinnis, Devin, for the Charlotte Independents, who took over for Mike Jeffries. Jeffries now the general manager for Charlotte. I mean, he has probably one of the most interesting paths to a head coach position in soccer in recent memory. And I say soccer specifically because this is a guy who made a name for himself in sports, specifically as a head coach in Gaelic football. He started with Celtic as sort of a performance consultant on a part-time basis. Then he started to get involved with the youth sides, spent some time over in China. And what you and I have been seeing is that he doesn't necessarily have his own style. He wants to disrupt other people, and he just seems to be a leader of men, and he just does a great job of sort of getting the locker room to buy into one collective idea and just simply winning.
I asked him, I said, listen, did you acquire that with just experience over your tenured career? He said, no, I went to university. Silly me, of course you did. I mean, why else would Celtic seek you out and bring you in for the first team right off the bat? But he said, you know, credit to the Celtic organization, they saw something in me. I had so many mentors there that allowed me to explore what I could do within this sport. They saw a lot of talent, to be honest. And then from there, it just kind of progressed. He started with the young ones, the 14s, the 16s, worked his way up, had an opportunity to speak with their academy director, Jim McLaughlin. And he said, you know, he's just a guy, like you said, Tyler. He motivates men. He likes to go out and figure out what's on the opposite side of the pitch and really stymie what's being thrown at him. So it'll be interesting to see from a philosophy standpoint what he's able to bring to the Charlotte Independents and the likes of tactically breaking down the opposition.
And if you want more on Jim McGinnis, Nicholas Murray had an excellent piece on Jim McGinnis and why he's the most interesting man in the USL Championship. I don't know if that's a direct quote, but Nicholas Murray obviously pumping out just a dizzying amount of content, and a great piece on Jim McGinnis and why he's been able to be successful in his first stop as a head coach in the world of soccer, as it's going to be offside against Alex Martinez. And Alex has been struggling a little bit in the goal scoring department, and by struggling a little bit I mean that he hasn't scored since July 29th of 2017. He did not score a goal last season. He had a few assists, but I'm sure that he's going to benefit a little bit more from his brother being back in town, and those two just love to link up. Speaking of linking up, Ina Voltson trying to find Dane Kelly. Joel Johnson quick to the scene for Charlotte. Good ball the other way. Starikov lashes it across the face of goal, but nobody home for Indy to what would have been a tap-in as Brandon Miller was caught at the near post, but Eugene Starikov getting the start tonight for Martin Rennie as Ilya Ilic starts on the bench. Just a couple of changes for Martin Rennie as Maka King and Starikov, the two changes from their game against St. Louis FC. And Devin, you weren't all that impressed with Ilic's performance on Saturday against St. Louis.
It's funny, about 20, 25 minutes into the match, you and I were chatting as to who we thought was playing the best, and I said, look, I'm not impressed with any of the three, but I think Illich is doing a good job linking up defensively, helping out. That was kind of the stoppage of his movements throughout the match. He started to disappear offensively, never got it going, ended up being subbed off. Starkov steps in, does a good job for himself, gets the rep tonight, but you have to wonder also, it's still preseason for these guys. I mean, I get it, we've started the season, but once you start hitting the 8, 10, 12 games in, coaches have a much better idea of what they've assembled in the offseason and where each player is going to play themselves out. Illich remains to be seen.
Here's Joel Johnson. Jake Arman switching the point of attack, and it's too far over the head of Andrew Gutman. Get all the latest Independence gear now at shopcharlotteindependence.com. About 10 minutes gone here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Not a ton to write home about, with the exception of that half chance that Starikov sent across the face of goal. As the Charlotte Independents looking to get back to the postseason, where they fell 2 years in a row to Bob Lilly and the Rochester Rhinos in the 4-5 matchup in the Eastern Conference playoffs, finishing 11th in the East a year ago. Goal scoring department certainly lacked, although they only were 2 goals behind Indy 11, but in our conversations with Martin Rennie, and as Devin mentioned at the top of the broadcast, he came into the scene pretty late, and they just sort of had to make do with the players that were available at the time, and it seems like he really got his pick of the lot with who he was able to bring in for the 2019 season. But both of these teams, I think, have reloaded from an attacking standpoint, and specifically Charlotte are going to be one to keep an eye on, especially with a new coach and some new pieces as well. Only time will tell, just week number 2 of this USL Championship campaign. Gibson finding Starikov. Jake Arman, product of the University of Maryland, before heading over to Monmouth in his home state of New Jersey. Had some really good moments for Charlotte last year, Devin, as Mike Jeffries started to trust him more and more as the season went on. And here's the veteran Matt Watson looking to run at Joel Johnson. Johnson stumbles, Ina Voltson on the turn. Kenny Walker gets it away. Here's King! Macca King! Terrific strike to beat Brandon Miller at the near post. And Indy 11 have the lead here in the 12th minute.
Had the opportunity last week to speak with someone that has a Charlotte past in the likes of Lewis Hilton. And I said to him, what is in the water at Young Harris? Well, guess what? Macca King's another one. Great career from 2015 to 2018, and that's exactly why. A good look at what the man can bring from the outside, cutting in, and this is just put on a platter. That is youthful exuberance by Andrew Gutman, thinking that he can step up that fast, leaves it on the backside. King just throws his entire body behind it and beats Miller on the near post. Great opening goal.
23-year-old from Narborough, England, as Devin mentioned, Young Harris product. And it seems like basically every graduating class of the Young Harris men's soccer team finds their way into the USL Championship one way or the other. And funny enough, Macca King actually spent some time with the Charlotte Eagles in what is now League 2 under the USL umbrella, the PDL. Spent some time with the Sounders 23 as well. And the ball from Kenny Walker didn't necessarily look like it had all that much on it, but he weighted that perfectly so that King could take it on the first time.
Especially when King kind of steps in and you can see him cut the ball to beat it to the near post on Brandon Miller, and that probably caught him off guard a little bit. A lot of times when you see the offensive player stepping in, he's going to have a go to the far post, maybe even put something on the ground. King was smart. He bided his time, let it come across his body, cut it, went near post. Brandon Miller has to do a much better job in that situation, though. You have to slide across and put yourself in the appropriate position. He was playing catch-up too much.
And Brandon Miller was healthy for most of the year last year. There was a thumb injury at the beginning of the season. And Andrew Dykstra seemingly was Mike Jeffries' #1 keeper. And Dykstra goes back with Mike Jeffries all the way back to the Chicago Fire days. But Brandon Miller, who was a 2015 goalkeeper of the year with the Rochester Rhinos under Bob Lilly when they won the USL Cup. But, I mean, you mentioned it, Devin. I would expect Brandon Miller on a first-time shot from Macca King from 22 yards out to be able to at least get something to it. But credit to King, it was a terrific strike.
That's the biggest thing, is you have to at least put your hand on it, push it away from goal. In a situation like that, the goalkeeper's not going to punch it over the bar, but you want him to get some sort of piece on it. He definitely fell behind. Now, again, credit to Indy 11 and what they've been able to do on the offensive side of things. You're not going to see a lot of offenses in the league like this, especially that front 3, 4, 5 that Rennie has put together. But Jim McGinnis said to us, don't be surprised on the defensive side of things if we tend to stymie teams a bit more. Wasn't a good representation there, but he thinks that they have the depth to make a run at this thing, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, they need to figure it out. But again, Gutman on the backside wasn't the best marking, got caught out of position. He's still only 22 years of age. McGinnis thinks he's 1 or 2 years away from his potential. A lot of energy, needs to calm it down a bit, keep his head on a swivel.
Well, there's a couple of debutantes going after it between Gutman and Macca King. I mean, this is Macca King's first true professional debut, as well as Gutman, who actually played in one reserve friendly with Celtic over in Scotland, as Indy 11 starting to look more and more menacing as the game is going on. Ina Voltson, King on the first time, good ball in, and Brandon Miller makes the save. Dane Kelly blocked in front, and there it is again for Indy 11. This time it's Tyler Gibson. Indy with 2 goals in about 5 minutes. And just like that, the Charlotte Independents find themselves down 2-0 at home in their season opener.
Once again, the boys up top getting things going early. They were slow to kick the tires last week, but that is not the case in the opening 15 minutes. First, the Charlotte Independents on the road. Remember, they're starting 5 of 6 away from Lucas Oil. Again, the youngster outside left back. Gutman got caught off guard. Indy Voltson made a great run on the backside to open up the space, just lays it off, and this ball gets swung in. Miller makes a fantastic first-time save, but the second one back around, they continue the pressure, they get their second goal, and they are cruising.
It almost seems like Martin Rennie sent his boys out there with a mission to silence all of the critics who doubted them after their first week performance against St. Louis FC, because there were a lot of question marks, because I think Indy 11, along with Nashville, probably had the 2 highest expectations in the USL Championship due to their offseason moves. Gutman with a great move, but defender went to ground and ends up making the tackle unbeknownst to him.
And Patty Barrett took some notes of the tape that the kid from Indy 11 was able to do last week, and what he was able to do in St. Louis, and just said, you know what, I got to keep my feet about me. But that gives you an idea also offensively what's going on. That was Tyler Gibson. Tyler Gibson drifting to the back post. Last week, he was the guy who was really trying to direct these things from a holding midfielder role, pushing balls all over the pitch. This time gets himself very high, and you've seen him sitting a bit more even this week with the likes of King and Walker. Kenny Walker a bit more higher of a line played last week, but you can see them interchanging very well early on. It's been impressive.
Martinez a heavy touch as Macca King trying to bother him, and Charlotte squander possession there. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the finest leagues in the world since 1947. Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Did you write that?
Here we go, guys.
Little tongue twister.
But you're just the biggest Select soccer ball proponent I've met in my life.
One day you'll understand what the greatness is that a Select soccer ball is. It's phenomenal. You just don't
I've never said a bad word about the quality of the ball.
Erroneous. Erroneous on all accounts. You're lying to everyone. It's ridiculous.
Brandon Miller has to send it away as Indy 11 are starting to squeeze Charlotte, particularly in their defensive third. Trinidad and Tobago national Kevon George bringing it down. He played all 90 minutes against the U.S. men's national team in that dreaded World Cup qualifier that many U.S. fans are trying to put in the rearview mirror, but still looms large in their nightmares as Joel Johnson driving forward. Now Alex Martinez. Armin. Enzo Martinez. Gutman. Splitting a couple defenders. Was he fouled? The referee says no. And Devin, you gave a bit of a head shake there.
He wanted it. He leans into it though, tries to get the referee to to buy the semantics, not the case. Keep an eye on it, though. Ball gets worked around. Enzo Martinez has the overlapping onto Armin. Gutman just goes right back into the same space. You're clouding it up. That needs to come out, go back the other direction, or Armin needs to step out and allow him to come into the space. That's not the case whatsoever. And McGinnis telling us that the final third really has been where they've been lacking in preseason. You can see it right there.
Charlotte with just one win in opening day matches in the USL Championship. Find themselves in a bit of a predicament, not even 20 minutes in, trailing against an Indy 11 team that truly looks like they're trying to make a statement. Tyler Gibson with the second goal, wearing number 4 for Indy. 28-year-old from Knoxville, Tennessee. As that's a good challenge from Gutman, and Charlotte come away with it, trying to push numbers forward and perhaps catch Indy 11 a bit exposed at the back. In for Enzo. Great little touch. Enzo Martinez. Nothing in it. Jack's Militia not happy about it. Neither is Enzo. Gutman, terrific delivery, but arrowed a bit too close to Evan Newton. But if you're the Charlotte Independents, getting Gutman in space and getting delivery is probably exactly what you're looking for.
100%. The problem is they don't necessarily have the height once those balls are being played into the box. So it's great that Martinez is going in the one-on-one situations. And then when the second ball comes back around, he has pretty decent service. Not that difficult for Evan Newton to step up and make the save, but exploring spaces a bit more. It's a bit better on the offensive third.
Tell you what, those might be the types of crosses where they may miss the size of a striker like Caleb Calvert. I mean, he would be making a meal in a delivery from Gutman and Johnson on the left and right, respectively. Alex Martinez on the first time, and we'll have another Chick-fil-A corner kick.
You look around the Independence roster, Tyler, as we get ready for the corner kick, and the quick one is Kevon George, standing just over 6'2". He's the one, Trinidad and Tobago, who can step in and provide some height. And Ephraim Taku is right around 6 foot as well, but everybody else hovers just underneath that. There's not a lot of height on this Independence roster, so don't be surprised if you see some trickery from the training ground.
Jorge Herrera, outswinger. It's actually won by Charlotte. And Steven Tiquito Tico goes by Tiquito. You don't believe me? We were texting the other day.
Telling you to lose his number.
Charlotte's next home game is Saturday, March 23rd against Atlanta United 2, and there's great seats still available. Purchase your tickets now, www.charlotteindependence.com. Good work from Kevon George. Certainly gets the attention of the Jacks Militia, the outstanding support group of the Charlotte Independents. And a heavy touch from Gutman. I'll tell you what, Jacks Militia is probably at the top of my list in terms of supporter group names as well.
Jacks Militia, you were
St. Luligans.
Pretty keen on the St. Luligans
yeah,
last week.
Probably my number one.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on the subject?
Not really.
No?
I have too many friends out there. I don't want to upset anybody.
You got the Brickyard Battalion who's hanging out right behind Martin Rennie, who were very excited after the Macca King goal. And so, great cutback. Now has it on his left. Martinez wins another corner, but that's Enzo at his best, driving at defenders 1v1 in the penalty area.
Corner kick presented by Chick-fil-A, taken by number 19, Enzo Martinez.
Chick-fil-A corner from Enzo. Punched away by Newton. Got Devin Kerr out of his seat for a moment. Is that knee-jerk reaction from you, is that more so for an impending collision or a potential goal? Or both?
More on the collision.
The collision?
I saw Newton and George going head-to-head right there, for sure.
Minutes remaining in this first half. Maka King in his professional debut, getting a goal. He's about 11 minutes in, and then Tyler Gibson 4 minutes later. There is a goal that was knocked around a few times. Once off the face of Brandon Miller, the keeper for Charlotte. Here's Dane Kelly the other way after a beautiful pass ahead. Kelly commits the foul. Devin, in your humble opinion, who are you most impressed with in week one? I know you haven't gotten around to every game just yet, but from what you've heard, what you've seen, East or West?
Well, you know I'm a notebook worm. Like, that's what I do, and I go after I watch a lot of tape. I haven't seen everyone. I was very impressed with San Antonio. I thought that the energy level that they brought, especially compared to last year's team, what they were able to do with the high-powered offense, albeit ever-changing system of Phoenix Rising, I thought that was very impressive. I like the Bethlehem Steel. Nothing out of the norm for them. They just kind of cruise along and don't really wow you, but they can take you to the mat for sure.
Well, that clip of them playing out of pressure, that went viral, rightfully so. I mean, that looked like it was from the Premier League.
This is the Indy 11 I expected last week. Now, there's a boatload left in this match, but 25 minutes in, at no point in time have we been worried about the independence whatsoever. This is a one-man match right now.
Fouls against the Albanian, Mafrim Taku. Joel Johnson stumbled a bit trying to pick up Matt Watson.
Speaking of Phoenix Rising, an old Phoenix Rising player in Matt Watson. He's been great on the left so far. No, old Phoenix Rising player. Don't put words in my mouth.
You said the word.
Can't say this one out loud. Watson's been great on the right. They've really shut down that 1-2 combo of Alex Martinez, Joel Johnson, almost non-existent so far.
Watson's an interesting one, especially playing out on the wing, which is not where we expected to see him, but certainly effective tonight already. Clipped in, the intended target is Hackshaw. He gets ahead to it, trying to win it again. George up for it, and finally Brandon Miller will claim it. Get updates and alerts all year long by following your club on ESPN.com. Search for Charlotte Independence and then click the follow button to keep up with the latest news and scores, plus get reminders on Charlotte's next match. To go to ESPN.com now and click follow for your club.
Local crowd not happy with that whatsoever. I think the referee made the wrong decision. Jake Arman felt like it was a good challenge.
And Jorge Herrera is having a word with Eugene Starikov. Sure, amicable one. I don't know if Jorge Herrera has a bad bone in his body.
Arman felt like it was good. George, it's shoulder to shoulder. He's a bit taller, overwhelming from a picturesque standpoint. So maybe the referee felt like near ground, foreground got the best of him in his decision. That's what I'm going with. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think it was a good challenge.
You don't do that with a lot of people. No.
It's early. Give it time. We're 28 minutes into the second week.
Walker. Hackshaw. Tell you what, he was naked on the back post. Nobody close to him.
Well, that's twice in the span of about 90 seconds where that ball, Kevon George, and then second before, you had Steven Tico and Andrew Gutmann who let the ball drop. You cannot let the ball hit the ground in that situation. Get a body on it, get a head on it, win the challenge, but push it away from the threat, neither of which happened.
Hackshaw stepping forward. Actually going down with what looks like a head injury. And our referee, Gustavo Solorio, immediately stopping play, and rightfully so. Hackshaw, we mentioned before, had the lone goal against St. Louis over in Fenton, Missouri last week. Trinidad and Tobago native going up against his countryman, Kevon George. Started in 32 of the 33 games that he saw time in for the Charleston Battery last year. Another disappointing year for Mike Anhauser's bunch as far as the postseason's concerned. I mean, they always are there at the end of the year as far as the regular season, but they continue to run into a buzzsaw, whether it be New York Rebels 2 or another stingy team on the road. Kenny Walker switching the point of attack. Starikov bringing it down, working on Gutman. Barrett in for Dane Kelly. Good matchup here with Kelly and Tico. Barrett. Nobody there for Indy 11 on the back post, and Brandon Miller can see it out of play.
Giving Jorge Herrera a lot of accolades over the years, and holding up the ball is one of them, letting players run off into the channel, play the ball back, down in, run onto it. Patty Barrett just cleaned him out. I mean, you kids at home want to see proper technique in defending, stepped right into him, used the body appropriately. No foul, got all ball, served a nice ball to the back post as well. Stuff by Barrett.
Thank you all for coming out tonight to support your Charlotte Independence.
Foul against Dane Kelly, and a set-piece opportunity for Charlotte now. A little more than a half an hour gone here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Again, Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr, week number 2 of USL Championship, but game number 1 for the Charlotte Independents and not go according to plan, or at least the new man's plan, and Jim McGinnis in his first season as the main man for the Jackson, his first season as a head coach on a soccer team, as he was named Jim the Redeemer for his efforts with Donegal on the Gaelic football team. Enzo Martinez keeps it low, won by Hackshaw. Tico directing traffic. Johnson. Now it's Alex Martinez. Armin wants the shot, blocked in front. It was Hackshaw, got a piece of it. Indiana product Gutman finding Jorge Herrera. Herrera gets it back, bends it in, and too much on it. Not the cleanest move we've seen from Charlotte, but another half opportunity. Jorge Herrera still getting it done at the ripe age of 38. Will be 39 this September.
There's more bad decision making in the final third, though. Jorge Herrera.
Is that a bad decision, or is it poor execution?
You want to hear me out for a second.
Okay.
Jorge Herrera knocks this ball to the back post. Naviel Hackshaw stands at 6'1". I promise you I'm not being rude, but not including the hair, and that does give him a chance. No, seriously.
I know.
It does give you some added. Alex Martinez stands 5'8". He's already, his body as a defender is already set. He's waiting for this ball to come in. You knock that up, 11 out of 10. Every single time, Hackshaw will eat that alive. If you watch Martinez, he doesn't even step into it because he knows he's not going to win the battle. Doesn't even try and put a body on it. Even if that ball is shorter, the odds that he gets in there
Well, the ball has to be perfect, is what you're saying.
And that's your only runner on the back post, is Alex Martinez.
But there was space.
There's space.
He can drop it in.
He can drop it in.
Yeah.
But you're knocking it in 4v1, and Alex Martinez is your only attacker on the back post. Enzo's standing at the top of the box. You've got reinforcements sitting just outside the 18. I get it. You've progressed into the final third, almost to the end line. Pull it back, come back around. No one's had a shot on goal, and there's been space at the top. But it's similar to what we saw last year, where the ball comes in, it gets swung out to the corner, and you try and knock it into the box. It's very readable.
But we saw
very similar to the Jeffrey system.
But we saw a lot of that where they would pull it back, and then the ideas just disappear once the ball's at the top of the 18.
Don't disagree with that, but they haven't done that at all today. They haven't even explored that option.
That's fair.
You're 100% correct, but that's not a revolving door of poor decision-making that we saw last year. This is a new slate. So when you step in, you give yourself an opportunity. You keep doing the same thing over and over and over. It's not going to happen.
Definition of insanity.
That's right.
I believe your wife has that pinned up on your mirror in the bathroom at home, no?
I don't even know. I can't say anything on that one.
Here's Gutman, good ball in. Newton got a paw to it. Back out in front, good challenge from Indy 11, and it should be another corner for Charlotte, and it will be. And who is making that challenge? The wily veteran, Matt Watson.
Don't mind this ball in now. Against the run of play, everybody's playing chase. As a defender, it's very difficult tracking back, looking over your shoulder to head it away. That's when they catch Hackshaw out of position. You have the runner coming in. Good opportunity from the Independents to keep applying some pressure just before half.
Herrera. Outswinger. Tico was trying to hit it on the first time. Back in from Taco. Gutman was offside. And the offside flag is up. About 10 minutes remaining here at the Sportsplex at Matthews in the first half, in the first game of the 2019 USL Championship campaign for Jim McGinnis and the Jacks. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us for some Friday night lights here in Matthews, North Carolina. Indy 11 with 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes, thanks to Macca King's first professional goal, and Tyler Gibson pounding one home from about 5 yards away in the 15th. And Indy 11 firing on all cylinders right now after that tough week 1 loss against St. Louis FC. Charlotte had a bye week in week number 1, which is bizarre, but Enzo Martinez said that it probably did them good. Obviously, as an extreme competitor, he wanted to be out there on the field and going, especially when everybody else is starting their season, but saying that obviously did them some good to be able to work out some things, particularly in the offensive third, that they might have not been ready for in week 1. Here is Enzo. Knocks it out wide for Joel Johnson. Herrera, heavy touch. Back out for George. And sprayed out wide for Gutman. Gutman's delivery is a good one. It was in front for Enzo. And Patty Barrett to the rescue for Indy 11. And another corner for Charlotte. That was better.
Gutman offensively starting to grow into the game. You can see the confidence building. He's settled down. Took him about 30 minutes, unfortunately. And 2 goals that he was directly involved in. Starting to find his way much better from the Jacks.
Another Chick-fil-A corner. In-swinger from Enzo Martinez. Great ball in. Tico missed time to jump. Herrera up for the header. And Hackshaw clears Indy 11's line. And Devin, you mentioned it before, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's just a size thing.
Yeah.
There just are not that many options, and Neviel Hackshaw is a beast. And even Patty Barrett and Carl we met, who aren't, I mean, they're both sizable, but
everybody's over 6 foot.
Everybody's over 6 foot, but they're also just aerially very, very good.
Very capable. We've seen it at every stop that they've made. But that doesn't mean you have to step away from that totally if you're Charlotte. That's when it goes to the training ground comment, where maybe someone checks short, you play a ball in, cycle back around, then you hit it back post. You keep Indy second guessing. It's not these stagnant movements where everybody's sitting there waiting. Very depictable. You keep Indy on their toes, keep them second guessing, makes it much more difficult.
Well, even if you don't end up playing it short, just having somebody short, it forces Indy 11 to send at least 2 out if they're going to do things properly.
Yeah, less crowded makes them, again, it's all that doubt in the back of the mind. You send the extra runner. Where's the ball going next? Is it going to be played near post? Is it going to be played far post? But that allows you to really explore that aerial capability that maybe is lacking because of the matchups that we're talking about. Gives you a fighting chance.
Evan Newton sends it away.
After the tournament. For more info, visit 3v3live.com.
Herrera on the turn. Enzo back for Johnson. Another early delivery. Gutman trying to bring it down. I don't think he was expecting it to get all the way through. And Charlotte will have to restart. Enzo. And a lot of miscommunication there between Alex Martinez and a free Taku. But Charlotte do well to win it back. Herrera. Not a bad effort from the Colombian. Fans follow.
How about this tackle? Oh, well done, young man. He really is finding some form as this match progresses. It's been difficult for him, and that's the growing process that Jim McGinnis was referencing, how all of these accolades, and he's all-world, the Herman Award winner, and everybody, you're just flying high, brings you back down to earth when you step on the field with the competition's a bit higher. Big Ten's difficult to play in, don't get me wrong, but there are times when you step onto the pitch and you are just, you blink, and you're gone and you're by everybody. That's not the case at any level with any team at this stage in the game. Andrew Gutman has to make his decisions faster and has to understand that he cannot do it on his own.
Jorge Herrera took a bit of a knock there from Evan Newton. Fans follow Charlotte Independence and the rest of the USL Championship all season long on ESPN+, home to the USL, MLS, UFC, and more. Join the over 2 million sports fans who have already discovered ESPN Plus and watch the championship live every week. Sign up today at espnplus.com. Big sweeping ball from Macca King. Finding Matt Watson. Ina Voltson now. And it's straight up Brandon Miller. I mean, if I were to have told you that through 1.5 games as Taku gets stripped here, Starikov poking it through, Kelly was offside, and then Starikov runs into Kelly. If I were to have told you that Indy 11 through 1.5 games we're going to have scored 3 goals, and that Ina Voltson, Illich, and Dane Kelly would not have scored one at that point, what would you have said to me?
I'll take all your money. I wouldn't believe you for a second. The 3 goals, maybe. I could see it, and and etched out kind of 1-0 win on the road, St. Louis first game, and maybe the 2-0 now, but definitely not the characters that have hit the back of the net.
Here's George trying to fend off Dane Kelly. It's good defending from the Jamaican who tracked all the way back. Taku. We're going to have 2 minutes of stoppage time, which is brought to you by Jack's House. As Enzo Martinez on the cut. Return for Alex, back for Enzo, and what a sliding challenge from, I believe, Macca King. He's already scored a goal today. And might have just saved one there. We'll have the replay in just a few moments, but that was by far the most dangerous we've seen the Charlotte Independents moving forward. And Macca King to the rescue. And he flexed on him right after the play. Here's Gutman. And it goes wide, and Devin, we'll get another look at this. I mean, this is just delicious defending.
This was Macca King. Great strike on the opening goal. This time around on the defensive duties. How about the interchanging play from the Independents? The Martinez brothers going at it. They do so well in such tight spaces, especially right at the top of the 18 in the crowded area. Macca King tracking back, goes to ground, very dangerous. But a good tackle, great save, and that could have easily ended up in the back of the net. Well done just before halftime.
How do you feel about the big celebration after a goal-saving challenge?
Not exactly sure I'd be doing that right in front of Enzo Martinez. Yeah. He will not forget that, but you know, he's built himself some confidence, wanted to run with it.
And the youngster barking at some of his midfielders now. Certainly confident in his professional debut, Macca King, Leicester City Youth Academy. And that's going to do it for the first half, folks. The Indy 11 have stunned the Sportsplex at Matthews in the first 45 minutes. Really, they stunned them in a matter of 3 minutes as Macca King and Tyler Gibson score goals in the 12th and 15th minute to give Martin Rennie's side a 2-0 lead. As Charlotte had one terrific chance that you just saw denied by Macca King. Devin Kirk, quickly, your thoughts on the first half?
We'll get into exactly what went on in depth in a little bit, but the most important thing here for Jacks is that they've grown into this game. They've got some momentum going into halftime. Would love to hear the conversation from Jim McGinnis. Indy 11, Martin Rennie started hot. They started to fade. So how are you going to come out in the dressing room, make a statement, take a hold of this game again?
A lot of work to do for Jim McGinnis and the Charlotte Independents in their debut of 2019. Don't go anywhere. We're headed to halftime.
These are the hands of Novant Health. The hands saving lives. Taking control when it matters most. These are the hands advancing care. They're skillful, precise, and compassionate.
It's gonna be okay from here.
They're the hands giving you strength. Those same hands delivering specialized care also take the time to hold yours. And they'll be waving goodbye as you walk out of our doors and back to your life. These are the hands of Novant Health, the hands making healthcare remarkable.
Mi tarjeta.
¿No encuentras tu tarjeta de débito? Desactívala con tu app.
Disculpa, estoy buscando mi tarjeta.
Esta es la tuya, ¿cierto?
Sí.
Y cuando la encuentres, vuélvela a activar.
Thanks. It's like a smart thing. What's the weather?
Sunny. Perfect chicken eating weather.
How'd you get in here?
It's time for chicken.
What's the traffic like?
Rerouting you to chicken.
Okay.
Hey, Calzo, order pizza.
Ordering chicken.
No, pizza.
Chicken.
Okay, chicken it is.
Chick-fil-A nuggets make dinner delightful.
Now that's smart.
Martin Rennie's Indy 11 with a terrific response, at least in the first half, against the Charlotte Independents after their 2-1 loss against Anthony Pulis' St. Louis FC in week 1. As week number 2 and the first game of the season for Charlotte has not gone exactly according to plan, but still time to make up for it in the second half. And speaking of week 1, there were some attendance records that were broke. What else is new in the USL? Let's take a look.
What does it take to be a champion? Skill, strength, vision, an unrelenting desire to prove your worth week in, week out. An army of fans behind you screaming your name. And sometimes just a bit of luck. For 631 games over the course of the next 9 months, 22 players will step on the field to answer the question, why will it be you and not them? And the 36 teams, from the champions of yesterday to the challengers of tomorrow, only one will be right.
To soccer fans across the United States, we want to say thank you for helping to create the most impressive, well-attended USL opening weekend in our history. With your support, we welcomed record crowds of over 91,000 fans to USL stadiums last weekend, and with over 3 million expected by the end of this season. This is a special moment, and if you're new to the USL, you're joining us at the most exciting time in league history. With more clubs and more games than ever before, the USL Championship is establishing itself as one of the premier second divisions in professional soccer around the world. In 2019 alone, we've welcomed to the USL family 7 new expansion teams in New Mexico, El Paso, Austin, Memphis, Birmingham, Hartford and Loudoun. That's 7 new communities who now have professional soccer in their own backyard, and 7 new communities where local youth can now see a direct path to fulfilling their dreams of becoming professionals themselves. We're also reaching more people than ever before, courtesy of our partnership with ESPN+. Every single USL Championship game available online, and another 8 now shown on national television. More fans than ever before now can watch USL soccer from the comfort of their own home. So thank you, soccer fans. Thank you for joining us for what will be the biggest season in USL history.
Outstanding stuff from, yes, you the fans. Week number 1 in USL Championship. More records to be broken in the weeks that lie ahead. Tyler Terrence and Devin Kerr on hand at the Sportsplex at Matthews. 2-0 to Indy 11 at the half, as we'll take a look at some news and notes from around our wonderful league. Mr. Devin Kerr, and what's been on tap? Well, we mentioned the record-breaking opening week, more than 91,000 fans across 17 games, and finally the Jacks fans are getting their opportunity to throw themselves into those numbers. USL unveils their academy landscape, which should be a really, really interesting project in the years to come. And how about Shane Malcolm? I mean, you know he's got those goals in the bag, but it's just a matter of when he brings it out, and he showed out against Los Dos in week number 1.
Steve Tritchu had his boys ready to play, and Just a heads up, Shane Malcolm, I picked you guys in this week in the USL Pick'em. Go check it out. John Arlier, Mike Watts, we all have a little bit of fun.
Subtle brag.
Sacramento Republic, though, is coming to town, and I got Colorado Springs coming out of that one. It'll be interesting to see if they can repeat it.
All right, very good. And moving on in the USL Championship schedule, some notable games. Mr. Devin Curry got a couple of debutants in Memphis 901 FC and Loudoun County FC in their first season as expansion squads Nashville and St. Louis. That game is in the Music City. Who do you like?
That's a juicy fixture, isn't it? Well, I'm not going to say who I want on that one. I'm going to get myself in trouble with both supporting clubs. I see St. Louis going in there and getting evicted.
Yeah.
I don't want to point fingers. I'm going to go with St. Louis.
Devin Kerr flip-flopping as usual. You know, he was probably one of the first players to invent flopping in the game of soccer, so everybody can blame him for that. We're moving to the halftime show. Charlotte trailing Indy 11 2-0 here in Matthews. Don't go anywhere.
My card.
Misplace your debit card? Turn it off with your app.
Excuse me, my card.
This one's gotta be yours, right?
Yes.
And turn it on when you find it.
These are the hands of Novant Health. The hands saving lives. Taking control when it matters most. These are the hands advancing care. They're skillful, precise, and compassionate.
It's gonna be okay from here.
They're the hands giving you strength. Those same hands delivering specialized care also take the time to hold yours. And they'll be waving goodbye as you walk out of our doors and back to your life. These are the hands of Novant Health, the hands making healthcare remarkable.
Thanks. It's like a smart thing. What's the weather?
Sunny. Perfect chicken eating weather.
How'd you get in here?
It's time for chicken.
What's the traffic like?
Rerouting you to chicken.
Okay.
Hey, Calzo, order pizza.
Ordering chicken.
No, pizza.
Chicken.
Okay, chicken it is.
Chick-fil-A nuggets make dinner delightful.
Now that's smart.
Almost ready for the second half here at the Sportsplex in Matthews as Tyler Gibson and Macca King have the 2 goals for Indy 11 as they were able to shut out Jim McGinnis' Charlotte Independence in the first 45 minutes. And we'll show you what happened in that first half. And Devin, I mean, first 10 minutes, it didn't necessarily look like Indy 11 were assuredly going to get one, but lo and behold, they were able to sort of find these little pockets, and it ended up being a great strike from Macca King in the 12th minute.
Unsurprising, back and forth the opening 5-10 minutes, really trying to find your feet and how this match is going to play out. Then Indy 11 just got shot out of a cannon. It was wave after wave of attack. That ended up in the 12th minute with Macaulay King. This ball comes across his body, but look at Brandon Miller. Does get the tiniest of touches. We didn't give him credit there, but he should have slid over faster. Push it to the side, do something. It's not the best goalkeeping, but do not take anything away from Macca King. Great strike, and just 3 minutes later, what you don't see is the overlapping run from Edie Volson to hold this ball up, lays it back. Good save by Miller on the first one. Kelly tries to get an effort in, and guess who? Number 4, Tyler Gibson just steps up, says thank you very much. They're going the other way. 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes, and they were only able to get 2 before halftime, but they look good for the opening 30 minutes. Final 15, Charlotte crept back into the match. But what sort of momentum we're going to see from both squads coming out of halftime? You better believe there were some not-so-nice words from both managers.
I'm looking at one statistic up here. I'm sure you can take a guess as to what it is, but
offside.
No.
Possession.
Wrong again.
Go ahead.
You have to challenge Evan Newton. You have to. On 7 shots?
Yeah, I said to you that they hadn't put a single shot on goal, and that one tackle by Macca King, we're around the 40th minute mark. That was a game-saving tackle because that would have ended up in the back of the net.
Enzo, yeah.
Enzo one-on-one with Evan Newton got the entire goal, so it's a great tackle there, but nothing, and it became too predictable in their actions. Again, the ball's down in the corner, serve it up, someone go get it. They're not going to win that battle unless they get tricky with it. So cycle things back out, give them a different look, make them second guess. They started to do that towards the latter portion of the first half. Can they carry that momentum into the start of the second?
Well, we mentioned before that Charlotte started out the 2019 USL Championship season with a bye week. Let's look at what lies ahead for Jim McGinnis's club, as they have a nice little two-game homestand to start out the 2019 campaign, as they'll host Atlanta United 2 in what should be a good fixture. Atlanta United 2 got off to a decent start in week 1, and then they're at St. Louis FC and at Charleston, then to return home to play New York Rebels 2 and the Bethlehem Steels. So you have 4 playoff teams, St. Louis FC with the Western Conference last year, 4 playoff teams in a row from March 30th to April 16th.
Well, you include today's game, 5 out of 6. That is not an easy schedule, especially when you go to St. Louis and to Charleston. Those are very difficult places to play. With all due respect to Red Bull 2, you don't know what you're going to get out of them sometimes. They struggle on the road. They can be this high-press, high-powered offense, but they can also kind of go by the wayside and give you an opportunity to kickstart your season.
So you're Jim McGinnis. You're 45 minutes into your head coaching soccer career. What do you say to rally the troops in the second half?
You're not happy with how you started, but you need to get some momentum to build on what had gotten better in the first half. And I really liked what they did on the left side. So they rotated Enzo in a little bit, allowed Gutman the opportunity to explore on the outside. They kept feeding him, and that was good, but Indy's going to see that. They did their homework, and if you noticed right away, they were attacking Gutman on the offensive side of things, making him challenge himself defensively. Some people say he's not exactly the best one-on-one defender, likes to be a bit more offensive-minded. You saw that. On the defensive side of things, they shut down Joel Johnson and Alex Martinez on the right. For the first 30, 35 minutes, you see Watson sitting nice and deep. He had no problem being a fourth defender right next to Neviel Hackshaw. So I would like to continue on the left-hand side, but there has to be a balance. So once Indy starts to make that shift, boom, pop it to the other side, then get going in the final third.
Your comment at the beginning of that, one of your defenders is not the greatest 1v1 defender.
Mm-hmm.
Such a bizarre comment to make, but that's the world that we live in 2019 football, is that you want your outside backs to be athletic, you want them to get forward, to be technical on the ball, and yeah, that's great in the offensive side, but you're showing a blatant weakness, and you're tipping your hand to the other team, saying he might not be able to hang with the likes of Dane Kelly, with the likes of Thomasina Voltson 1v1. Go ahead, go at him.
Well, when it comes to speed, you're not worried about that in open spaces, because he can track back, and that's not a problem. But the one-on-one part, you also need help from your backline communication-wise. So if Gutman steps up, that's real easy for the inside backs. Tico steps over to the left a little bit. Mon slides to his right, and that's why you have Kevon George in the middle. He just tucks right in between it. We saw that a lot out of Phoenix Rising last year. How many times do we see Joey Farrell, Amadou Dia, Luigi Mala, and they transitioned so well where the spaces would slide open, and James Musa would just tuck right in between. So you've taken your holding midfielder and you've gone right into a back three, but you allow the outside backs to explore. That's where the preseason part comes in, where they're still learning a new system.
Well, second half is officially underway here from the Sportsplex at Matthews. Tyler Terrens alongside the former German pro Devin Kerr. So glad that you could join us for some Friday Night Lights in Matthews, North Carolina. Indy 11 with a little 3-minute spurt that gave them a 2-0 lead in the first half in the 12th and 15th minute from Maka King and Tyler Gibson, the most likeliest of goal scorers for Martin Rennie. Great little dummy. Here's Walker. That was pretty clean from Indy 11. Not so much for Charlotte.
Shocked Kenny Walker doesn't put this on frame. How many times have we seen him just line this up, put it in his sights, and say thank you very much? Indy Voltson once again, good ball movement. Gutman turned around. Seems to be the reverberating message of the broadcast here tonight, but look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Indy 11 goes at the youngster once again.
Would you rather have an outside back who's going to give you 4 or 5 goals, 8 or 9 assists, get up and down the pitch and do a great job of joining in on the attack? And we'll get to that in a moment, as Thomasina Voltson could be away here. Good challenge from Tico. And Gutman able to clear it away. Or would you rather have an outside back who's more defensive-minded, is probably going to be inside of midfield more times than not, maybe a couple goals, couple of assists, but you're not worried about him 1v1 defending.
More defensive-minded. Take a look at the global stage of world football. I like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he kind of gives you both looks where he can hit a dead ball, he can hit a set piece, you know, stuff from the corners. They love him on both sides. He can get into that overlapping position if he needs to, but he's not constantly up and down the pitch making those runs. You'll see him sit a lot more often than not, and I think with Gutmann that it has to be the right system first off. I don't necessarily know from what I've seen, and this is it for him.
He's probably more suited as a wingback, no?
100%. 100%, but then it becomes, now you're 100% going two ways. Right now, he likes to explore the final third so much that you want to push him into the middle, but you have to track back. At least when you're sitting defensively, a lot of the game is in front of you. Because when you push forward as a defender, you can have people tuck in behind you and slowly make your way back. He's struggling with that balance right now. But again, it's also a system. Is this the right system for him to sit in? What he's getting here is very different than what he's going to get at Celtic as well.
And of course, we have to keep in mind that the young man is only about 48.5 minutes into his professional career.
It's pretty easy for us to sit up here and just point and
click. Oh, it's very easy.
This is what's wrong.
Yeah.
Just trust me, I've been on the receiving end of these words many a time, and it's hard to hear, but that's part of the growing process, the maturation that Jim McGinnis referenced. He'll get it. I'm not worried about his talent level. It's just finding his sea legs, if you will.
When you asked Jim McGinnis, you know, where Gutmann stands as far as his progress, and he said that his best years are still probably in front of him, as there was a lot of contact there, and the referee's waving it off as Efrem Taku is not happy with the call whatsoever. Armin, way too close to Neville Hackshaw. It's a late challenge from Kevon George, as Kenny Walker is not happy with the fashion of the challenge, which showed a little bit too much at the bottom of his cleat. But much respect between Kenny Walker and the native of Trinidad and Tobago. And here's another look at that controversial call, Dev.
How do you not blow the whistle there? Both of them take him to ground.
Gibson he's called a loose game.
Yeah, it's been wide open for sure, but it's been fair to both sides. I mean, he's not necessarily letting the boys play all the time as he's keeping them in check, but there's a certain point in time you got to put your foot down. That was one of them. Good step in, and Taku makes the most of his moves. Gibson, Walker, 22 yards out from goal. That's a no-no mistake. Should have pointed and given them the opportunity to hit a set piece.
Tico defending on Dane Kelly. Starikov. Gutmann gives it away. Gibson. Ina Voltson left all alone. Blocked by Tico. Watson. Starikov for the Englishman. And Starikov stood up by Kevon George and makes another challenge while sticking to Starikov's side. Jake Armin trying to use his pace against Hackshaw. Enzo. Back for Martinez. Walker got a piece of it. And Devin, you and I just both pointed out there was nobody in the middle of the field for Enzo to be able to link up with at the top of the box. Indy 11 trying to counter. Charlotte doing a good job of getting numbers behind the ball. And they'll have to recycle.
Keep an eye on what McGinnis has done here, because people are all big on numbers. What's the formation? What's the formation? It's fluidity. Things are gonna, you need to have a template for sure. But with Enzo, we talked about letting him explore.
There's Thomasina Voltson exploring his offensive options. Dane Kelly, referee says play on. Kelly's curler. Always going wide and high, but take another look at that Indy 11 half chance.
Indy Voltson much better this match. Quiet versus St. Louis, but starting to find his spaces out on the right, tucking down in. That's what we saw from him out in the West in Orange County last year. Dane Kelly tries to get cute going to the far post against Miller. Looked like he had it covered. But with Enzo, if you look at the system that they're playing right now, he's basically playing left mid, but he's tucked inside. But when he steps across, Jake Arman, for the most part, until you just saw on his screen, hasn't gone out there at all. So when Enzo comes across, like you said, Tyler, no one is there in support whatsoever. The space opens up, and outside of the elongated run from Gutman coming all the way back around, nothing else is there. So when he steps in, just like the cycle part you just referenced, you have to come back around. I'm surprised that they haven't put Arman out there and let Enzo sit inside more, because he can have the ball at his feet. You have the speed from Gutman and Arman, and that gives Alex Martinez that balance we talked about on the right side too to get in there, and that just hasn't been the case. It's been very linear, very one-sided.
Good work from Alex Martinez. Taku back for Jorge Herrera. Trying to split a couple of Indy 11 defenders. It falls nicely for Arman. And Gutman unable to keep it in play. You can hear the groans from the Jacks faithful. And there is another Eastern Conference match that is running parallel to this one, as Atlanta United 2 and Louisville City FC 0-0 in the 40th. And Louisville trying to redeem themselves after a rough opener against Dave Sarakin's North Carolina FC.
Let's put politely.
You know I'm a polite guy most of the time.
4-1 on the road, that's not what you expected out of the defending champs.
Especially against a non-playoff team from a year ago who didn't exactly make big splashes in the off-season pool like Indy 11 and Nashville did in the Eastern Conference, as Alex Martinez most assuredly is going to receive a card there, as he has two arms wrapped around Kenny Walker. And Alex Martinez will receive his first of probably many yellow cards in 2019.
He knew he was beat. Just gave the ball up. Matt Watson picked his pocket going the other way, and semi-professional foul, I guess you could call it.
Luke Kuechly has got to be a big fan of that. I mean, that's a nice tackle. It's good pursuit. Using his hands, driving with the legs. It's been tamed from the Martinez brothers so far.
It's a combination of Indy doing well on the defensive side of things. We referenced Matt Watson sitting deeper. Not necessarily in a one-on-one situation with Alex Martinez, but definitely not allowing space over there to open up.
Here's Indy Voltson. Quickly swarmed by Ephraim Taku as well as Tico. Enzo is fouled. Patty Barrett was a long ways away from home. Charlotte's next home game is Saturday, March 23rd against Atlanta United 2, and there's great seats still available. Purchase your tickets now, www.charlotteindependence.com.
Novant Health is the official healthcare provider of your Charlotte Independence. Fans, if you need any medical attention during tonight's game, please visit the Brooklyn Novant Health Tent located field level on the
Gutman.
south side of the stadium.
Tight roping for Taku, will be able to get there. And working on Ina Voltson. Maka King dropping back in support as this one is lofted in. Jorge Herrera was the only one to be able to challenge it. Joel Johnson wraps up Eugene Starikov, and it'll come out the other way. And again, it's the height disadvantage that continues to give some problems for the Charlotte Independents. Enzo stood up. Johnson. Armin. Now it's Jorge Herrera. Enzo Martinez draws a couple. Joel Johnson now. Early delivery. Won by We Met. Back in from Enzo.
A reminder, fans, if you made a purchase at the merchandise tent tonight using your credit card, please stop by the
Sustained pressure from Charlotte, although they haven't necessarily been all that purposeful with the pressure and the possession.
Stop by the merchandise tent once more. Thank you very much.
Comes Indy 11. Watson. Good Hackshaw getting forward. Clever from Watson, getting away from Alex Martinez. And you can see the frustration starting to grow for Charlotte, who are still down 2-0. After the second goal was scored by Indy 11 in the 15th minute by way of Tyler Gibson. Maka King got things started for Indy 11 in the 12th minute. Virtually nothing to report since.
It's a good opportunity for Indy to downshift a bit and see what kind of possession they can maintain. Martin Rennie talked to us about their performance last week at St. Louis and how they put together 600 plus passes and 78% or 80% completion percentage, which is all good and well, but can put the ball in the back and then it doesn't matter. They've done that so far this week, and now it's kind of laying chase by Charlotte, who's lacking offensively. And to be fair, they're not really chasing Indy that much when Indy is playing with the ball.
And those numbers that you referenced, as Kevon George almost caught himself in some serious hot water there, still might, as all sorts of bodies are hitting the deck here at the Sportsplex at Matthews, and finally it'll be called the other way. Those numbers that you were referencing, Dev, I mean, that sounds like Charlotte a year ago in terms of all the possession and passes, but with no end product, as Gutman looking for an end product himself and almost sent it into the concourse. I believe Evan Newton is still yet to be challenged tonight.
The Independents have still not put one shot on target. You're right. Good battle in the middle of the field. Aaron Mon gets brought out from the back line. Kelly caught this on his leg a little bit there. You see him go to ground as Tyler Gibson tried to challenge before Charlotte started to go the other way.
don't forget to visit the merchandise stand located near the main entrance, where you can get a specially St. Patrick's Day Independence scarf. We also have hats, t-shirts, and more, including brand new 2019 customizable team jerseys. Don't forget, every purchase today comes with a very own free card magnet.
Taku is trying to find Gutman. There's the Albanian again. Stays in play. It's Maka King on the challenge once more. He's had a terrific debut.
Thomas, everyone! Come on, Thomas! Need help there. Goal safety.
Armin.
Teamwork, Finn! Come on, Finn, slow him down!
Gutman looking for an option, forced to go negative. Hermond. Johnson along for Alex Martinez. And even though Charlotte able to win a corner, it just still looks a little lackadaisical moving forward and just a little stale, a little pedestrian.
It's a spacing thing. You see Enzo rotates to the central right side of things. Jake Armin steps all the way out to the left. That creates a massive gap in the middle of the field. Nobody on the Charlotte side of things willing to step in there and fill that role, which really prohibits them from moving the ball nicely left to right.
We start to wonder when we're going to see the first substitution from Jim McGinnis and who he's going to bring on to try to maybe inject some life into what's been a rather anemic attack for the Jacks, as Herrera lost one towards the back post, headed down. And Evan Newton finally has his first save of the night.
Bit better, isn't it? So maybe some trickery on the corner to get something going. This time they are able to find the big body on the back post. But the ball that gets played back in, Gutman, the outside back, the only one trying to crash the party. Good job by Kevon George putting the ball back into the mixer. Newton just steps up and collects.
Alex Martinez tracking back. You saw he was careful. He's already on a caution. Matt Watson gets wrapped up. Now it might be Joel Johnson who sees a card as well. Just a talking to. He was Mr. Yellow Card last year, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. He said something right. Our referee, Gustavo Solorio, more than willing to listen because he's by you, he's gone. It is Johnson.
It's a tactical foul. I mean,
100%. It's basically his first offense. That's why the referee hasn't booked him.
But you've seen in plenty of other games where a first challenge inside the first 3 minutes, which also prohibits a team from countering.
You want to talk about the
will show a card.
We're going to go that route.
We've seen plenty.
Fair enough.
From a lot of different referees, but
yeah.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing for him to get one in the 68.
No. No, I gestured for it. I thought he was getting booked for sure.
Too much from Kenny Walker. He's visibly upset with himself, but Indy 11 still holding on to that 2-0 lead. Walker, of course, coming over from FC Cincinnati, had that Sports Center top 10 goal against Ottawa for Midfield on the volley. For me, that was probably the goal that rivaled Jason Johnson's the most in 2018. And here's Starikov on the other end, getting through, trying to chip Miller, and cleared off the line by Johnson. Miller gets a piece of it. Joel Johnson make sure that it doesn't find the back of the net. And a corner coming up for Indy 11.
We'll get back to Kenny Walker in a sec, Tyler, but much better by Brandon Miller recognizing the threat, comes off his line, makes himself big, gets an arm on it, right on the left side of his chest. And then good job by Joel Johnson stepping back in. No, he's been beat. Smart. Center back slides over, outside back tucks back in. Probably helps the goal stay off the line.
And I'll tell you what, that's really well done for Brandon Miller, because you'll probably see 9 out of 10 goalkeepers go down, and that chip is in the back of the net from Starikov.
Quick, easy chip to the far post, easy pickings, but he was very smart to stay afoot.
Back in! Not sure if it'll go to Ina Voltsen or Jorge Herrera, but either way, Indy 11 grab a third. Thomas Ina Voltsen will surely claim it. We'll wait for the official ruling. 3-0 to Indy 11 in the 69th.
Keeping your eye on how Indy Voltsen hits this ball. Hits it with his instep, almost to put it back across box, and just puts it on frame. Guess who's defending? Jorge Herrera. Kenny Walker just slides one back in. This thing comes all the way back out. No one defending. Very zonal, poor zonal marking, by Charlotte. That was Afram Taku, who could not track Indy Voltsen all the way over, just puts it back in. Herrera off the crossbar. You got to give it to Indy Voltsen.
That was over the line.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
just
that was the look right there. Great job from our camera crews and our director, Gage Tillotson, and replay operator Jose Bueso. Of course, our producer, Aba Ponte, capturing all the action for you. Thomas Ina Voltsen with his first goal of 2019 after a terrific campaign in 2018 with Orange County, and the first substitution of the season for Jim McGinnis, and it'll be Dominic Oduro, who was featured at the top of the broadcast, replacing Jake Arman in the 70th minute. Plenty of work for the Jacks in the final 20 minutes of this one, down 3-0 as Alex Martinez is thrown to the ground, but nothing in it from Matt Watson and our referee.
If Martinez felt he could get away with anything, he would have stepped in here and said something, but good defending by Watson. Shoulder charge. It's aggressive. It's a good challenge. It's up over the end line, and Indy looked to go the other way. Now keep an eye, 20 minutes left in the game. What are Indy going to do? Try and put it on cruise control and just sit back, or will they continue to push the envelope? This game could easily get away from the Independents.
Oduro. Bringing off for Alex Martinez. Trying to go through Kenny Walker. Now space for Indy 11 to counter. Ina Voltsen, Denmark native, leading the charge, leaving it for Kenny Walker. Kelly. A slip, and Jorge Herrera could be in. Herrera, Oduro running with him. Jorge Herrera sends it wide. Go ahead.
You have to question the decision-making by Jorge Herrera, but it's a bit of frustration by the talisman. He gets in to the final third, and what does he do? He's looking for Oduro on the back post, but Hackshaw had actually closed off the passing lane. The only option he has there is if he floats something, and then the ball's moving away from Oduro. He's got to stick his arm or leg out, come back across the body. That's very difficult to do, especially for a substitute who's just stepped onto the pitch, so you don't mind the strike. Your turn.
I apologize for stepping on your toes there. I know you're a sensitive little butterfly, but
we'll get there.
I was just going to say that slip right around midfield reminded me of a certain slip in the Premier League a number of years ago. And almost spelled disaster.
Playing the same color jersey team, too.
Fans, it's back and better than ever. Get yourself a pint of No Doubt Brewing's own 1775 Pale Ale, brewed for your very own Charlotte Independence. It's available right here at Independence Games at No Doubt Brewing, as well as Jack's House.
Gutman. And to Martinez, great skill. Bends it in, Oduro! Charlotte have one back, and it's Dominic Oduro who opens the account for the Independents in 2019. Off the bench, out to the score sheet. Game on in Matthews.
We were worried about what the ball would have been like from Herrera, and if Oduro could get on the end of it. Enzo Martinez just on skates right on the end line. How about the ball back across his body, hit it with his outstep, brings it all the way to Oduro, and then the clever vision by Oduro to just redirect it to the far post. Difficult to get enough on it, but as Evan Newton slides back across, he just uses the momentum against the goalkeeper, puts it in behind the far corner, and the Jacks are back in it.
And you asked Enzo Martinez point blank on the phone a couple days ago, who would you say so far during preseason gives you the inkling that you're going to have somebody to really work with up top besides Alex Martinez, his brother, who we've already seen who he works well with, and the first name out of his mouth was Dominic Oduro.
How can it not be, with respect to all the guys that are on the pitch and on this roster? But Dom Oduro, just such a storied career at the MLS level, looking to continue that on, has such an amazing vision for the field. Not just in open spaces, which we've been accustomed to seeing him do, and really challenging with his speed, but that time just tucked himself in, used that big frame, put it to the far post. It was great ball movement.
Alex Martinez slips himself. Great job to win it back. Now battling with Neville Hackshaw. Johnson lofts one in. Newton off of his line. And able to snatch it. Get all the latest Independence gear now at shopcharlotteindependence.com. Ina Voltson lays it off. Here's Kelly. It's off the bar. That was great build-up play from Indy. Somebody got a touch to it. Corner coming up for Indy 11.
The Great Dane finally trying to make his mark. Indy not shying away from this challenge. It's a cute little step over by Indy Voltson. Not sure it was necessary, but Kelly leans back a tiny bit. Referee thinks Miller got a hand on it.
The Great Dane. You come up with that yourself?
Look at that. Just originality spewing all over the pitch tonight. It's amazing. Pretty soon I'll have
there's certainly something spewing out of your mouth. I don't know if it's originality. Kenny Walker in. And Patty Barrett's header over the bar.
It's new things, new experiences. Pretty soon I'll have someone else sitting in a chair next to me.
I know you've been trying to replace me since 2017. I get it. I get it. And Josh Penn, the 18-year-old in Indiana University commit, is going to come onto the scene here in the 77th minute. He started and played the majority of the game against St. Louis last week, and he showed some really good glimpses, Devin.
Brilliant. Loved what I saw out of him. He did such a good job, and he really made a mess on the right side of the back line.
Oh, he destroyed Matt Boehner on one particular play. I mean,
really, we talked about skates a second ago. This kid not lacking confidence whatsoever, and does it in tight spaces, does it in space. And apparently he's quite the jokester from what the dressing room is saying as well. It's always nice to loosen things up a little bit. And I was curious who they were going to bring off, so they bring Penn on, and most assuredly they'll rotate Watson over to the right side like we saw last match. Let Penn freelance a little bit on the left side.
So one stud lefty leaves in Andrew Gutman, and Yeagley's going to bring in another stud lefty in Josh Penn.
A little tit for tat there, huh?
Must be nice. King's ball certainly doing any favors for Josh Penn. Taku switching the point of attack through Enzo Martinez. Still plenty of time for Charlotte to get back into this one after the opener from Dom Oduro to make it 3-1. Header only as far as Joel Johnson. Finding Gutman. Laying it off for Enzo. Gutman onside, intended for Herrera. Who's up, who's down, where does your club sit? Find out every Monday in the official USL Championship Power Rankings, only on USLChampionship.com.
Wider! Wider, Josh! Open up your body!
Alex Martinez. Mond looking for Gutman. And it'll be offside. Heard some good things from Martin Rennie, gesturing towards the 18-year-old Josh Penn on the near side.
Like the bit of coaching there from Rennie. He's asking him to open up his hips, and what you do as a player, as the ball transitions to the other side of the field, when you rotate over there, your immediate instinct is to turn and face the ball, and you close your shoulders, but there was a runner behind him, so he wanted to open up his hips. So if that ball does come across, it's much easier for you to turn and run as opposed to becoming closed off to the play itself. So that transition time, much quicker, easier for Penn to make that move. Actually let Matt Watson stay on the left and just push Penn up in front of him. Everybody's rotated over a little bit. Macaulay King still sitting on the right, but you can see Kenny Walker has stepped up just a tiny bit. Not a lot. Not necessarily going to make a massive impact, but still Kelly and Edie Voltson, and then a bit of freelancing going on in the middle of the field.
Enzo Martinez. Too far for Joel Johnson as we've entered the final 10 minutes of play.
Indy 11 substitution in the 81st minute. Stepping on the pitch for Indy 11, number 18.
Alioune Diakite is going to come on here in the 81st minute and replace Dane Kelly, whose biggest contribution from a goal-scoring standpoint was rocking the crossbar as well as keeping the play alive right in front, right before the Tyler Gibson goal, but still waiting for his first Indy 11 contribution on the score sheet.
We've referenced the three-headed monster with regard to the offseason acquisitions, the likes of Edie Voltson, Dane Kelly, and Ilya Ilic. Let's go the opposite direction. Diakite is the only one out of 100 open trialists to get a contract. Martin Rennie says this kid is something special. Senegalese can really fly.
Oduro, Enzo Martinez again. Loves this left-hand side. You know he wants it back on his right. Johnson, now it's Alex Martinez. Here comes Johnson around the bend. Martinez using it as a decoy.
Alioune up, man. That's where you need to be. Alioune! On him! Alioune! 13!
Alex Martinez again. Room for delivery. Stands it up at the back post. Here's Gutman! Andrew Gutman, his first professional goal. And Charlotte with it with one.
Just as we were giving the man from Senegal some praise for being able to be signed in the open trial, he doesn't track back into the middle of the field. You can hear Martin Rennie yelling, Alioune, step back. That's not the case. Charlotte retains possession, cycles it back to the outside. How good is the ball? Just knocked to the back post. Andrew Gutman on his perch, sitting there waiting. There's one of those late runs we saw last year in the Big Ten for the Indiana Hoosiers. It's the first one for the Charlotte Independents, and they have slowly made their way back into this match.
The blue smoke is out amongst the Jacks militia. The Charlotte have one more left in store. Evan Newton has to clear it. Jorge Herrera was right in the neighborhood. And you have felt all the momentum shift to the boys in blue now. Duro, a good challenge. Matt Watson still able to get there. Johnson goes to ground. Jim McGinnis wagging his finger Dikembe Mutombo style at the referee. Gutman. Good ball forward. Oduro. It's offside. It's amazing what that goal can do for a youngster's confidence. And Andrew Gutman, no problem dumping that into a really, really tight space for Damo Duro.
We've seen what he's capable of. A lot of inconsistency from him tonight, but started the first half slow, a lot better with like 15 minutes to go. Things got nice, started to open the game up. Now it became one-sided on the left side of the pitch, but second half starts, Indy goes right back at him again, defensively challenging him. They get a goal. He's done much better in the final 20, 25 minutes so far, but looking to cap it off. They want to get equal.
Delivery handled by Tico. Gibson bringing it down. Josh Penn couldn't quite corral it. Kevon George can and sends it away. Matty Barrett coughs it right up in the middle of the field. Here's Alex Martinez. He'll retain possession. Finding his brother Enzo, tried to cut inside, but ran into Maka King. Diakite. Couple of collisions, no call, and it'll simply be a throw-in for the Jacks.
If you'd like to get pictures and autographs of your favorite Charlotte Independence player, be sure to head over to Autograph Alley on the south end of the field, right by the clubhouse, right after the final whistle. Your safety is safe. If you do not play at Brady Freely, please stay off the field. Thank you for your cooperation. After the final whistle, we'll see you over at the alley.
Herrera lays it off for Enzo. Quickly gets it back for the Colombian as he was off balance. 38-year-old jousting with Kenny Walker. And Herrera called for the foul. Get updates and alerts all year long by following your club on ESPN.com. Search for Charlotte Independence and then click the follow button to keep up with the latest news and scores. Plus get reminders on Charlotte's next match. Go to ESPN.com now and click follow for your club. See an equalizer in this one?
It's getting there, isn't it? It's scary, the quick strike ability that you've seen out of the Independents, because Indy's controlled this match for the most part. It should not be 3-2.
Is it the quick strike capability of Charlotte not taking anything away from the goals, or have you just seen an enormous amount of complacency from Indy 11 in the past 15 minutes?
You can make the argument for both. That's a hot take, which, you know, in this day and age,
don't get me started with hot takes.
I know how you like it, but you know, pay the credit where it's due. You got to give credit. Charlotte could have bowed out of this a long time ago, but they've got a lot of fight in them. Shows a lot of heart. Jim McGinnis will be happy about that.
But Oduro coming on has been a revelation.
Yep.
They give it away right to the feet of Josh Penn, running with Diakite. Penn lays it off for Gibson. Nina Voltson. Good first touch from Nina Voltson. Almost tripped up by Gutman, stays on his feet. You love to see that in a day where flopping reigns king. Lucas Farias is coming on for Indy 11 now in the 89th minute.
Martin Rennie retreating right now, pulling Indy Voltson off as things have started to heat up on the defensive side of things, bringing the Brazilian in.
Indy Voltson, a slow jaunt back to the Indy 11 technical area, milking as much time as humanly possible. As Farias will come onto the scene here in the 89th. Thomas Voltson getting his first goal for Indy 11 on the night. And right now it stands as the game winner. Foul will go against Diakite. Enzo Martinez looking dangerous. Oduro lays it off. Taku just skips wide.
You referenced Caleb Calvert earlier and that big frame. How about nice hold-up play from Oduro? Just lays it right back off. Taku steps up, tries to get something. Oh, he hits it square, doesn't he? Just moving away because of his momentum.
We're going to have 4 minutes of stoppage time brought to you by Jack's House. Martin Rennie not happy with the effort put in by Diakite on this near sideline. And meanwhile, Charlotte have recycled all the way through to the left flank. Farias puts in a good challenge. Enzo Martinez skipping away from the Brazilian. This is too close to Matt Watson. Now carrying to the corner flag. Martinez was trying to turn Penn around. Hackshaw able to keep it in play. Charlotte fans thinking that the ball went completely over the line. That's not the case. Third minute of 4 in stoppage time. That pass intended for Herrera a bit too high. Alex Martinez trying to curl it into the path for his brother Enzo. Good job of bottling up Matt Watson, but Watson taking on brothers Martinez all by him lonesome, and looked like there were hands there from Watson. It'll be a throw-in for Charlotte. Plenty of physical play on this right flank. Gustavo Solorio, our referee, has called a pretty loose game and has let the boys play. Work from Oduro. He gives it away right to the feet of Kenny Walker.
Much too lethargic, and Von George could have easily put that ball on Gutman's foot and let him have a go. Get him into that one-on-one once again. That's where they've succeeded so far, but just seconds left in this match. Got to get something going.
In for Oduro. Falls for Herrera. Underneath the foot of Alex Martinez. Just about 15 seconds remaining now. And Evan Newton able to collect, and that should do it. Full time, Indy 11, their first win of the 2019 campaign. And it comes by way of a game-winning goal from Thomas Ina-Voltson that made it 3-0 at the time. The Charlotte Independents would storm back in the form of Damo Oduro and Andrew Gutman, who scored 10 minutes apart in the 73rd and 83rd, but it would not prove to be enough. Charlotte Independents with a gritty fight towards the end, but a loss to start out the Jim McGinnis era. Devin Kerr, your thoughts?
You're Jim McGinnis, you have to be happy with the fight that you had in your boys and their tenacity to come back and get within one, but it just started much too slow. Indy 11 got out on the front foot, which is exactly what Martin Rennie wanted. You saw the offensive exploits come into full effect early on in the game. They tracked back. He's not going to be happy with the way they finished, but they still got a very valuable 3 points on the road.
Indy 11 bounce back after the loss against St. Louis. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll put a bow on it. Full time, Indy 11 3, Charlotte Independence 2.
Specialty scarf. Make sure to grab one on.
Mi tarjeta.
¿No encuentras tu tarjeta de débito? Desactívala con tu app.
Disculpa, estoy buscando mi tarjeta.
Esta es la tuya, ¿cierto?
Sí.
Y cuando la encuentres, vuélvela a activar.
Thanks. It's like a smart thing. What's the weather?
Sunny. Perfect chicken eating weather.
How'd you get in here?
It's time for chicken.
What's the traffic like?
Rerouting you to chicken.
Okay.
Hey, Calzo, order pizza.
Ordering chicken.
No, pizza.
Chicken.
Okay, chicken it is.
Chick-fil-A nuggets make dinner delightful.
Now that's smart.
These are the hands of Novant Health. The hands saving lives. Taking control when it matters most. These are the hands advancing care. They're skillful, precise, and compassionate.
It's gonna be okay from here.
They're the hands giving you strength. Those same hands delivering specialized care also take the time to hold yours. And they'll be waving goodbye as you walk out of our doors and back to your life. These are the hands of Novant Health, the hands making healthcare remarkable.
Full time here at the Sportsplex at Matthews, and perhaps some members of the Brickyard Battalion have made their way to Matthews, North Carolina to see their side get the first win of the 2019 USL Championship season, and it came at the expense of the Charlotte Independence season opener. And we'll take a look at how it all went down over the course of 90+ minutes. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. Dev, 12th minute, Macca King.
Tee that up right on the back post again. The youngster, Gutman, gets caught out of position. Macca King just bides his time, lets it come across his body. That's a little fade on it. Challenges Brandon Miller. Guess what? 3 minutes later, some more fun. Edie Voltson, great hold-up play. Maka serves the ball in. Great save by Brandon Miller. But then again, it's just 1, 2, 3 too many times that the guys have to step back in. Guess who's on the doorstep? Tyler Gibson, 2-0. Thank you very much.
So Indy 11 get 2 goals in a matter of 3 minutes from debutant Maka King of Young Harris. And then we head to the second half as a lot of time passed before we had something really to write home about, Dev. And Thomasina Voltson, he hits this sweetly and he hits it with his instep. And Jorge Herrera just simply could not get it off the line.
It was funny how things played out from here on out, though. Good ball in for the back post, but it's so poor marking by Charlotte Independence. You want to go zonal marking, that's fine, but there has to be communication. You have to shift. That goes on in the 69th minute. Damodoro comes on in the 70th, and then in the 73rd, Enzo Martinez just makes a mess of the back line of Indy 11. Damodoro sitting right at the top of the 6, does a great job to read the back to the ball to the far post. Evan Newton can't slide over fast enough. 3-1, game on, let's go.
And then 10 minutes later, the Charlotte Independents would chip away at the 3-goal deficit that stared them in the face yet again. But it would not come before Dane Kelly rocked the crossbar. This was great build-up play from Indy 11, really in tight spaces.
They were much better today, especially compared to the match versus St. Louis. Didn't know what we were going to get out of them. But still, not the best movement we've seen out of Dane Kelly in the first 2 matches of the season. Like to see more out of him. Like the trailing run by the outside back. And this is the look that he gives you. Talked about, would you like a more defensive-minded outside back? Guman says, yeah, boys, eat your words. How about this? Great drifting ball to the far post by Alex Martinez. The Martinez brothers did make an impact on the game. It was not enough. Charlotte Independence would fall short of the 3 points. Indy 11 gets a road victory.
And here's a look at how the numbers shook out after the 90 minutes, and possession heavily in favor of Charlotte, particularly in the last 25 minutes or so. It seemed like Indy 11 had trouble stringing together passes, but the Jacks were pushing numbers forward left and right. Dev, anything stand out to you on here?
I like the purposeful possession. We've talked about that in the past, but during the broadcast, we said that they completed 80% and over 600 passes versus St. Louis. They were right around 326 passes, and I say around because I'm spot on, my friend. I counted each and every one of them. But 69% accuracy, so less passing, wasn't as effective, but they still found the back of the net 3 times. It was impressive by Martin Rennie and the boys on the road.
Yeah, we'll take a look at our save of the game, brought to you by Wells Fargo. And it was this one here from Brandon Miller, and this is his best play of the game. He stays big right until the very last moment and denies Starikov, because that's a chip that almost always finds the back of the net.
I like what you said during the run of play, that it would have been very easy for him to start guessing and go to ground. That's not the case. He keeps himself big. That's what we saw back in his great goalkeeper of the year back in 2015, trying to bring those ways about him once again.
And this is what our Eastern Conference standings look like, brought to you by Wells Fargo as well, as Atlanta United 2 sits atop the table, just like everyone predicted.
And they're all virtual. I mean, right now they're taking the defending champs. 70th minute, 0-0 on the road. Johnny Hackworth, what's going on out there, buddy? Get it together.
So Devin will expect a nasty text from John Hackworth in the next half hour to 48 hours. But all jokes aside, it was a terrific night of football here at the Sportsplex in Matthews. Didn't end the way that Jacks fans had hoped, but there's plenty of more football to be had in the 2019 USL Championship season. For our producer, Aba Ponte, and our director, Gage Tillotson, replay operator, Jose Bueso, and my main man, Devin Kerr, Tyler Terrence, saying so long for now. The final score from Matthews, Indy 11 3, Charlotte Independence 2. We will talk to you soon.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.